Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have week number 5 of the INT, and we're taking on the homie JayVee. This is actually the first time I'm ever playing JayVee, so I'm pretty excited. Well, I was pretty excited because, as you can probably tell, this is going to be a post-com, and I hate post-coms. I hate doing the post-coms. I don't find them very entertaining to watch either. So it really pains me to say that this is unfortunately a post-com, especially because I think that this was a pretty good game. It definitely came down to the last couple of turns, and it was anybody's game, really. So let me know, by the way, if you guys like post-coms. If you guys don't like post-coms, just there'll be a pinned comment down in the comment section. So just reply to that or just comment on your own. Do you like live com? Do you like post coms? Do you prefer post live? Why would you like post coms? Because I don't really find them entertaining, and it confuses me a little bit how people like post coms more than live coms. But yeah, just let me know down in the comment section below. What do you prefer? And while you're down there, you may as well obviously check out. I don't even know why I'm saying check out JayVee. Everybody here knows who the frick the dude is. He's pretty good at Pokemon, and he's pretty handsome too. But you may as well leave a like and comment, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. Support on last video was absolutely insane, so absolutely thank you guys for that. It was actually crazy. The early game is going to be a little bit slow, but that's okay, because I think in a draft league battle, not every turn is as important as another turn. I don't even know if that's proper English, but essentially the early game isn't as important as some of the other turns. So I'm just gonna let this early game just go ahead and play out and just sort of explain what was going through my head at this point. So I led off with my Nidoqueen because I knew that a Vikavolt lead was very likely, and Vikavolt was also the mon that I struggled the most to switch into on Team Preview, I thought. So Nidoqueen being the lead sort of put me in a decent spot, especially if I had fire coverage, but I didn't have fire coverage. Now, I am a Choice Scarf Nidoqueen, you may have seen, but I do also have Stealth Rex, so that's going to be a little bit of like a mind game situation I'm going to try to play, because if he sees I'm Rocks, then he won't think I'm Scarfed, and we may be able to catch a couple of kills off guard here. But this early game is just essentially me realizing that I did not bring any coverage for the Vikavolt, and that Vikavolt was going to be very annoying. Very annoying. So he does show that he has Matcha on Vikavolt, which is a cool tech to deal with my Nidoqueen, which was most likely the obvious switch into the Vikavolt. So that is pretty cool on his part. Luckily, it doesn't 2-hit KO me. Yeah, this early game is just me just trying to attack the Vikavolt, trying to get damage onto it, because like I said, I don't have any super effective coverage on this entire team for Vikavolt, so I don't have a reliable way of taking it out. So between my Thundurus and between my Nidoqueen, I'm just trying to put damage into the Vikavolt, potentially try to get rid of it. It sucks because this means that I'm going to have to give a lot of health up on potentially more than one Pokemon to be able to deal with the Vikavolt, and that's exactly what we're going to see is going to happen in this sort of like interaction. Nidoqueen is already at 50%. Vikavolt has Roost, so it's obviously going to be able to 1v1 either Thundurus or Nidoqueen. But I'm just trying to put damage into the Vikavolt. So this is the turn where I go for Sludge Wave, and he actually clicks the Volt Switch. Does an absolute chunk to my Thundurus because Vikavolt is very strong. It's actually a good Pokemon. I need to try to draft that. I don't think I've ever drafted it. But he goes out into Crobat, and this is the turn where I go out into my Nidoqueen, and he's going to pull a double of his own back out into his Vikavolt. I can only assume that he was scared of like Prankster T-Wave from Thundurus onto the Crobat, which is definitely fair. That's what I brought last week against Lucas. So it's definitely a fair concern from his part. But I went out into my Nidoqueen mainly because I knew I could take a Brave Bird if he went for that. But I was mostly expecting a U-turn, to be honest. I was mostly expecting a U-turn. But he ends up pulling out a double, like I said, out into his Vikavolt again. Now, this Vikavolt is very low at this point, so he looks to be in range of Sludge Wave. So that's the move I'm going to click. I'm going to click Sludge Wave, and you'll be able to see that this Vikavolt lives on 1 HP, which is absolutely terrible for me. Absolutely terrible. If I would have been able to get rid of the Vikavolt there, yes, I would have given half a health on Thundurus and Nidoqueen, but I still had enough health on Nidoqueen where I could switch into stuff like Clefable. You know, that would have been pretty good. And this Vikavolt would have been gone. So it sucks that I have to take a second Mud Shot and essentially trade off almost all the health on Nidoqueen plus half the health on Thundurus in order to take down a Vikavolt. That was super unfortunate. On this turn, I'm going to go out into my Thundurus because I'm either expecting a U-turn or a Brave Bird to come off, and Thunderous will be able to live any one hit because I am a little bit bulky this week. You'll see that he ends up critting me, which in the grand scheme of things, I guess it didn't really matter all that much because obviously he would have been able to 2-hit KO me, but maybe it would have forced another switch with him being scared of like Thunderwave Prankster on Thunderous. So it's a little bit unfortunate that the crit ended up happening. Not the end of the world. I'm not going to pretend like that's the reason why the game hates me and that it tilted me or anything like that. It's absolutely not the case. So I take this opportunity to go out into my Kyurem, and I play a bit aggressive here. I go for the Iron Head, convinced that his Clefable is actually a switch into the Kyurem. And Iron Head with Expert Belt would have actually been able to 2-hit KO Clefable no matter what. He shows that his switch in is actually the Heatran, which immediately screams out to me that this thing is Shuckaberry. Now, while these sort of like plays go ahead and enroll, well, actually I'll explain it a little bit further because this sequence of plays is actually pretty important as well. So I see this as an opportunity to get in my Choice Specs Modest Primarina in for free on the Heatran. And what I do here is I click Moonblast because there's absolutely no way that he stays in with his Heatran to take the Fairy move. He brings in his Starmie, which just absolutely drops. That was a crit. Turns out it did not matter because he would have died. The only thing that it did impact was JV's next play, which is him going out into Clefable. So because I crit him, he was not able to tell that I was Modest Specs. I could have been Modest, but a crit would have killed the Starmie no matter what. So that means he goes out into Clefable, which allows me to get a huge chunk of damage onto the Clefable as well. Clefable does a huge chunk of damage to me too. I don't know if that's like Life Orb damage or something because that did a lot of damage. So I definitely have to see if he's offensive or not. I have to watch his side. But that did look to be offensive, and I should have kept that in mind going forward as well. I just click Moonblast again. He makes the good play and goes out into Heatran knowing he can take any one hit. On this turn, he has free Stealth Rocks, right? So I have a decision to make, which is, do I want to go out into something like the Cofagrigus? And because Obstagoon is not here, I can play a bit more freely with Cofagrigus and try to get a Body Press onto the Heatran, because I'm pretty sure the Heatran is going to be Shuckaberry. By the way, he brought it into the Kyurem. So I need to get damage onto it so that Expert Belt Kyurem can kill with the Earth Power. But I ended up going out into my Nidoqueen, reason being, I'm pretty sure he's going to set up rocks, and I can either get up rocks of my own or pressure him offensively. And you'll see, by the way, that I'm sort of like hovering over my moves, that on this turn, I was so close, so close to clicking Ice Beam on the incoming Crobat. As you can see, I'm just over Ice Beam there. I'm like looking like he's going to switch out into Crobat, like I'm going to go for Ice Beam, but what I end up doing, and this is a little bit of a misplay in my opinion, obviously hindsight is 20/20, and now that the game is over, it's much easier to see if it was a misplay or not, because you know the end result. But I do end up getting up my rocks, and again, I don't think I should have gotten up my rocks, because this thing is obviously going to be Boots. Clefable's already chunked very well. Terrakion, it could have been good to like break a potential Sash, but I was much more expecting a Scarf Terrakion to come this game, which is something that really impacted my later decisions as well. But unfortunately, we sort of kind of get that call wrong. It's a little bit unfortunate, but what's done is done, and there's no point in dwelling over too much. If I clicked Ice Beam, obviously I would have been in a good position, because I would have been able to pick up a surprise KO on this Crobat, because I am Scarfed, but that did not end up happening. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out into my Bronzong. He U-turns out, and I think this turn he brings in Clefable, which was a little bit confusing to me, because I definitely thought he was going to bring in his Heatran, because I thought it was a much safer switch in. But I guess he didn't want to risk me being like Earthquake with like Heat Proof or something like that. So he brings in Clefable, and this turn I make a bit of an aggressive play, which is going to end up backfiring a little bit. I was so paranoid, so freaking paranoid, that I didn't even take the time to calculate the damage onto Primarina, but I was so paranoid that this was going to be a setup Clefable, and that on this turn he was going to go for like Soft Boil and get up all his HP back or something like that. So I decided to go out into my Primarina, because if I do manage to catch him on a dead turn, I get a kill with Primarina, because Modest Specs Hydro Pump is just going to claim one. Unfortunately, I do get that call wrong. He does go for the Fire Blast. So it's a bit unfortunate that we end up losing my Primarina. I still think that's not the worst play in the world, because if it did work out for me, then I just claim another kill, and that would have been fucking fantastic, but it didn't end up working out that way. I go back out into my Bronzong, so this time I actually did calc, and I did see that even if he's Life Orb Fire Blast is not going to OHKO me. So this is the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and get up my light screen and try to do some stuff with the Kyurem. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Kyurem situation in a little bit here, because there was actually stuff in prep and in play that really, it was like some sort of like a 50-50. And if I get it right, it wins me the game. If I don't get it right, I don't win the game. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here. He goes for Fire Blast. Obviously, I live. Like I said, I would have been able to live no matter what. I go for Heavy Slam as he clicks Fire Blast again. I'm not exactly sure why he clicked Fire Blast, because I'm pretty sure Moonblast would have killed me. Like, I know that I'm behind light screen, but I'm at 10 HP. I'm pretty sure Moonblast would have done enough. Maybe he didn't know that, and maybe why he's clicked it. But him missing the Fire Blast means that Bronzong is able to Heavy Slam and get a kill. Again, I went for the Heavy Slam because I didn't want him to soft boiled up. So I was so fucking paranoid of him being set up on Clefable or like soft boiling up that I could have gotten a Reflect up there, and that probably would have been the better play, but I just wanted to get rid of that Clefable, which we do end up doing. He brings in Crobat to revenge kill my my Bronzong, and this is where I'm going to go out into my Kyurem, and this is where I'm actually going to pause a little bit here, because as you can see, my controller starts to run out of battery here as well. But this is the play, or this is the turn that I think has the most impact in the game. It's one of those 50-50s, like I said, that if I got right, it could have won me the game, and if I got wrong, it would have put me in a much harder spot. So first thing I want to discuss is the item of choice. I am Expert Belt on this thing, and there's two reasons why I'm Expert Belt over Weakness Policy, which I went back and forth the whole week. Reason number one I'm Expert Belt is I really thought his main switch into I really thought his main switch into Kyurem was going to be Clefable, like a Spadev Clefable that wouldn't be two-shot by Ice Beam, because Clefable's thick, hella thick with like 3 Cs. So the plan was Iron Head with Expert Belt, do it KO'd even physically defensive Clefable no matter what. If he's like Magic Guard and he doesn't take rocks, then it's not a guaranteed 2-hit KO, but it's still like a 70% chance to happen or something like that. So that was one reason why I went Expert Belt. Reason number two was the Heatran. Heatran with Earth Power, I can OHKO max HP Heatran if he's not Shuka Berry, with even with the minus special attack nature, as long as I was Expert Belt. So I didn't want to rely on having to be set up to be able to kill the 2 checks that my opponent would have to Kyurem. So I ended up going with Expert Belt in hindsight, and you guys will see the way that the game plays out. Weakness Policy would have been the better play, but so that was the item bit. Now the actual playing bit. At this point, as far as I can see, I have 2 ways of potentially winning this game. Either a Scarfed Nidoqueen sweeping with Earth Power because he has Terrakion, Heatran, and Crobat left. So I can either see myself winning with Scarf Nidoqueen or with Dragon Dance Kyurem. The reason why I decided that Scarfed Nidoqueen was a better win condition than Dragon Dance Kyurem was for 2 things. First of all, I knew by the way he played the Heatran, he was going to be Shuka Berry. He switched it in first try. He stayed in. He was not scared of Earth Power, so definitely confirms he's Shuka Berry. Number 2, I really thought it was going to be Choice Scarfed Terrakion. So in order for Dragon Dance Kyurem to win, I actually had to have 2 Dragon Dances up to be able to outspeed the Terrakion, and I had to get like 50-ish% off onto the Heatran in order for Earth Power to kill. So I thought that those 2 things were a lot harder to happen than just me being able to get rid of the Crobat and just winning with Nidoqueen, right? So I either click Icicle Spear on this turn and try to get rid of the Crobat, or I click Dragon Dance and I go for the Kyurem win instead. So you'll see, as I explained before, I thought Nidoqueen was a better win condition in this situation, so I went for Icicle Spear. Control is running out of battery. At this point in time, I'm scrambling over my room to be able to find a wire to charge my controller. So that didn't really help the situation either. Double stressful. But as you can see, I went for Icicle Spear as he brought in his Heatran. So I kind of got that 50-50 wrong. But I continue to misplay my Kyurem here a little bit. So like I've been saying this whole post-com, I'm pretty sure this Heatran is Shuka Berry. So what I should have done here is... Well, it would have always been difficult, but I think what I should have done here is just try to get rid of this Heatran as soon as possible and not go for 2 Dragon Dances. But again, it's that tough situation I'm in where like I have to get 2 Dragon Dances up to be able to outspeed a Scarf Terrakion, but I also have to be able to get enough damage onto the Heatran so that Earth Power kills. So I think I misplayed here a little bit. If I was Weakness Policy, this is where I would have won the game, because I go for 2 Dragon Dances, he pops my weakness policy, and I just sweep the rest of the game. I just absolutely kill everything, even with the Shuka Berry at +2 special attack. Earth Power just goes through the Heatran. So I kind of got that call wrong. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. We end up losing our Kyurem to the Heatran, which is very, very weakened. It allows my Gyfagrigus to come in and kill it. But winning with Scarf Nidoqueen now is much, much harder because he obviously has the Crobat around. So I can't lock myself into Earth Power, and I can't lock myself into Ice Beam because Terrakion is going to be able to live one no matter what. But so I essentially have to rely on Gyfagrigus to be able to 1v1 either the Terrakion or the Crobat so that Nidoqueen can then take care of the other one. So this turn I just take my kill, I go for the Body Press, kill the Heatran as he does burn me, which is a little bit unfortunate because I'm not leftovers. I was actually Culver Berry so that I could like kind of lure in the Obstagoon. The idea would be he would knock off, I would Body Press and OHKO it, and this is actually where we disconnect. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the rest of the Showdown replay. We're only in the last couple of turns. There's only like 5 or 6 turns left, which was so aggravating because this has been a really good game so far, right? Like really anybody's game open until the end, and we had to move over to Showdown, which that obviously always fucks with your mental because you were in that sort of like headspace of like, I know I have to do this, 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 and this to win. We had to recreate a couple of times, so it kind of threw us both off the flow. All right, so as you can see, we're here on the Showdown replay. I guess this is a bit easier to like visualize everything of what's going on, so it's a bit easier to understand. But at this point in time, like I said, I have Nidoqueen and Gyfagrigus left. He has Terrakion and Crobat, so the only way I can win this game from here is if Gyfagrigus can 1v1 one of the other mons, preferably the Crobat, so that Nidoqueen can then go ahead and clean up because I am Scarfed, and unless the Terrakion is Scarfed, because if the Terrakion is Scarfed, this whole endgame is just pointless and he's just going to end up winning. So let's get this show on the road. I'll put it on really slow just to give it a bit of time to like explain everything. So he actually decides to bring in his Terrakion, which is not what I wanted to see, but I am going to click Pain Split on this turn because I thought that this Terrakion would have been able to do big damage to me, and I kind of wanted to scout what type of Terrakion we're dealing with here, but he actually ends up missing, which is absolutely terrible for me because if I got that Pain Split off, Terrakion would be so much lower than it is now, and Body Press would have potentially been able to kill him from there. But he reveals the Swords Dance as I click Pain Split again because I thought he was Scarfed. So I just went for Pain Split again, expecting him to go for Stone Edge. Unfortunately, he is Swords Dance, and he's going to hit Stone Edge on this next turn, and you'll be able to see that he is Life Orb, right? So he's just going to be able to OHKO my Gyfagrigus from here. And that means that I don't really have a way of winning the game because Nidoqueen cannot lock itself into any one move and kill the 2 remaining mons. So I'm just going to take the kill. I'm going to click Earth Power, kill this Terrakion, and obviously Crobat is going to come in and is going to be able to pick up the last kill on Nidoqueen and winning the game. So the 2 mons that he did bring that I did not expect him to bring, Crobat and Vikavolt, actually did a gigantic amount of work to me. And I guess that is on me because I didn't prep as much for them. I thought I had a good matchup against them regardless. But yeah, now this endgame was a little bit unfortunate. Him missing that first Stone Edge really, I think him missing that Stone Edge is what lost me the game because I didn't, like at that point in time, obviously everything that came up until that point had influence on it, right? But at that point, that Stone Edge miss really made it so I could not win the game because Terrakion was super, super healthy. So we unfortunately are going to take the first L of the season. We're still 4-1. I'm pretty sure we're like 90% guaranteed for playoffs at this point. JayVee moved on to 3-2. So obviously, like I said, probably needed the win a lot more than I did. And I think ultimately he did end up playing a little bit better than me this game, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I will try to get my revenge on JayVee the next time that we play, hopefully in playoffs. So yeah, that's going to be that for this video, guys. Let me know down below what you thought of the post-com. Let me know if you prefer live com, post-coms. I will always do live com because 1, I don't enjoy doing post-coms, and 2, I don't think I'm very good at them. Because I just feel like I'm very all over the place. But you guys let me know down below what you thought of the post-com.